All right, so as I'm painting, and as I'm finding other areas I can punch up, especially with more color, more texture, more variations. Remember, I'm painting both on the light side and the dark side. This has kind of the advantages of watercolor in that you can build up on top of white and let the paint be transparent. It also has the advantages of oil and acrylic, where I can build whites on top of darks and not have them be desaturated or changed. So we want to take on all those different attributes and advantages of digital painting. Put them to work for us. I mentioned before I do a lot of squinting while I paint. So whatever colors I'm using, and sometimes it's just a random choice, I'm going for this expressionist Fauves color palette, very strong. Definitely not dull. What I'm really trying to match is not the color, but the value, the lights and darks, so that when it's shown all in grayscale, it still works. Part of that is identifying a light source. So he has a pretty strong highlight on his forehead here and here, and that breaks into the hair. And if I wanted to go to super detail, I could go to a low opacity, smaller brush and really outline each one of these individual hairs that's catching light. I could use a brush that's more broken up, and it can do that too. There's just so many different methods. It is important to use your navigator well to kind of zoom in on certain areas. This way you can really see the texture. Really define your own choices as you paint. And you can see the strong difference between my cut edges with the lasso and my painted edges with the brush. Edge control can be pretty important. So for that I might switch the brush to being a little bit smaller, a little bit more opaque. In certain areas. But going down to fine detail is not the only way to deal with these kind of issues. I could also do kind of glazing overall. Especially when I feel the values are working overall. Like I like kind of the life that hair has. It's got some warmth to it now. Get a few individual strokes. Some power and playfulness. But now I might want to glaze over the top, and for that I might use different brushes. So let's see. I want to make sure I can get back to the one I'm using. That's always the worry. So let me see which one it is. It's an 80. Oh gosh. Too many options. But glazing over the top, I'm going to use some of these brushes, which are just big scans. I'm going to use the navigator to go smaller, fit it all in. And now I'm going to use a new layer, and I'm just going to hit it over the top. So where should it be darker? Maybe on this side. Hit it there. Oh, I don't like that color. Let's get a more interesting color. Hit it there. Then on the other side, let it be warmer. Maybe right here. take that opacity down a little bit more. And on, it's kind of pink. On the chin here, let's knock that down. Now by glazing, what I'm doing is putting a color over the top of everything so that you're seeing it through that color. That can help solidify things, bring it together. I also have it on its own layer so I can bring it back. It's going to help a lot in giving life to this jacket. By overlapping these colors with these different brush strokes at different opacities. So the darker I go, the heavier the opacity I might use. Too dark. Let's see. And because it's on its own layer, I can always adjust it too. Oops. And of course, steal colors from wherever I think they can be helpful. Now this is basically the equivalent of taking your painting and then spreading stuff all over it to mess with it. So that's with it, without it, that's with it. What does it look like on its own? Just like that. All these brush strokes. On a white background, maybe like that. And they're just from scans. And then I can take those and I can play with the overall opacity of them. I can play with the levels of them. And this is glazing, kind of putting everything over the top. So I can deepen them a little bit. I can play with their saturation, their color balance. And then how do I get rid of them on their edges where they don't belong? I simply select the empty space from around another layer and then erase that from this layer. Voila. And I just keep painting on top. Keeping everything in mind. You can also use things like dodging and burning to work on your values. So let me make a duplicate there. And if I burn, say around the eyes, the midtones, I don't have to do any painting at all. I'm just deepening certain value shapes. And you can actually burn with a brush. And it's very different than painting with color. You're just bringing out certain value shapes, deepening certain tones that are already there with the existing color. It does tend to desaturate a little bit, so then I can use another tool, which is the sponge tool, and I can either use it to take color away or to add color. And again, I can use a different brush for that. I can modify all of these brushes. Give them shape dynamics. Angle them out. Give them some texture. This is another advantage, actually, of bringing your layers together. So I'm bringing color back to some of these areas, but it will keep that dark value. And now my overall painting, you're always looking at it overall. It's looking a little soft, a little undefined. So dodging and burning can help. Dodging is the same thing, you're just doing it with a lighter, you're lightening what's there. I like to do the mid-tones. Usually not too strongly, otherwise they get too weird. And so the first part of the painting is always kind of building up colors and textures, and now you're really modifying your values. Making sure it reads clearly. Overall. And the reason I did that on a copy layer is you can see what a difference it makes. But when I dodge and burn, I tend to overdo it. So that I'm able to take the opacity down, blend it in a little bit, until I think it actually helps. And then continue painting on top of everything. Now I'm about ready to work on some of these accessories, the glasses.